Hey everyone, I have a little special video for you today. I am going to do two things in this video. Later, I'm going to head to Dunedin, Florida for a minor league baseball game. But right now, on my way, I stopped at a place that's a little bit historic. I am outside Jack Russell Stadium, which for years served as the spring training home of the Philadelphia Phillies. For a number of years, I believe 20 or 21, it also served as the home of the Phillies single-A affiliate, the Clearwater Phillies. And there is just a ton of history in this building. Mike Schmidt played here, Richie Ashburn, we had Derek Jeter, Wade Boggs, Mickey Mantle, Roberto Clemente, Whitey Ford, greats of the game who played in this venue, Pete Rose. This was historic for so many years, and now it's just in the middle of a neighborhood in Clearwater, Florida. And I thought I would walk around and show a little bit of that. But there's a story that I really like to tell that involves this venue, and it was when I was about 12 or 13, I don't remember the exact year, but I was living in Pennsylvania and we would go to Reading Phillies AA baseball games basically every Sunday home game. So we would see the backup catcher Edwin Rosado play a lot for the Reading Phillies because it was a Sunday day game following a Saturday night game, so the backup catcher played. I was a catcher at the time, so my father would always ask me to study Edwin Rosado, look at his footwork and look at those things. He couldn't hit very well, but he was a great defensive catcher. Well, because he couldn't hit very well, when we were on a Walt Disney World vacation, he had been demoted to single A. And we were on a Disney vacation. We decided to head to the west coast of Florida, check out some of the sights, check out the beach, and of course come to a minor league baseball game because my family was baseball obsessed. And there were so few people. I mean, you can see it's a very small stadium. There were so few people that as we cheered for Edwin Rosado every time he got a plate appearance, he could hear it, he knew it. And in that game, he ripped a double, and then afterwards, he came out of the dugout, he had baseballs for us, he posed for pictures, he signed autographs. To me, at 12 or 13, he was a huge celebrity. In all actuality, he was struggling and in the last days of his professional baseball career. And I will always be grateful that when he wasn't having the best time in his career, he took that time to spend time with a fan, to grow the love of the game in a young child and make sure that he carried the game to the next generation. I know I'm probably never going to get the chance to thank him in person, or he's never going to see one of these videos, but I really appreciate that, and a big part of my love for the game now has to do with that moment. So I love to share it whenever I have the opportunity. Let's take a look at some of the inside of Jack Russell Stadium in Clearwater, and then I'm going to head up to Dunedin and we're going to see some minor league baseball. it can be a little bit of a pain in the backside to park for a game in Dunedin. They have very few parking spaces in the team lot. So I parked about 2-3 blocks away downtown. They have free downtown parking, so if you're willing to do a little bit of walking, then you get free parking. So that's nice, something to keep in mind. Now, this is where the Dunedin Blue Jays, the single A team, play their home games. It's also where the Toronto Blue Jays have their spring training, so it's even harder to find parking when it is a spring training game. So keep that in mind if you ever try to come down here. One of the things I've always loved about minor league baseball is the chance to see players down here with like 50, 100 people in the stands who end up having great careers in the majors. I talked earlier in this video about going to Reading Phillies games when I was a kid. Saw a ton of guys who had a huge impact in Major League Baseball, and I got to see them in small venues. One of the reasons that I always try to make sure to take a video of the lineup when I'm at these games is so I can look back in a few years and be like, hey, did I see anybody who ended up being a superstar? And often it happens. I've also been showing a lot of Aidan Miller. The Dunedin Blue Jays are playing the Clearwater Threshers, who are the Phillies single A team now. Aidan Miller for the Threshers is a very, very high prospect. And even though he was just drafted last year in the first round, is probably on a pretty quick trajectory, at least if he keeps playing the way he's been playing. So that's one of the reasons I've been showing him. But you never know who at this level is going to end up being a superstar. I love when these ballparks have walking trails around the outfield, but this ballpark here in Dunedin has something extra, and that is an elementary school in left field. And it doesn't happen quite as much when the single A guys are here. But during spring training, when they have batting practice, the big league guys can fill up the lawn here at this elementary school with baseballs. Because it's not, I'd say maybe 400 feet out to left field here where they can reach that elementary school. So one of those fun, unique features of putting a ballpark just in the middle of a community, in the middle of a neighborhood. I'm gonna walk around the outside of the ballpark, show you some more views. We're just gonna continue having a good time. An absolutely beautiful night for baseball. I don't know if you caught it there, but I got video of Aiden Miller circling the bases after he hit a home run. So see there, I told you he was good. The Blue Jays beat up on the Threshers today. Got to see a few home runs in that game. Got to see a lot of hits, a lot of offense. And then on the way back, I walked the 2 or 3 blocks on the Pinellas Trail. And I just wanted to let you know that there were a few important moments in my life that involved the Pinellas Trail, and you know about some of them fairly well. The Pinellas Trail is where I trained and where I first got the idea to hike across Ireland to raise money and awareness in the fight against domestic violence. This whole story kind of comes full circle because I was working in 2020 in the box office for the Toronto Blue Jays in spring training at that very ballpark when the pandemic shut down the rest of the season and canceled the minor league season as well. I was actually going to work for the Dunedin Blue Jays for a while. And when the pandemic shut down everything, there was a group online called Modern Catholic Pilgrim, and they organized pilgrimages. Everybody, of course, they wanted everybody to be safe, but instead of going to far off lands to do a pilgrimage, they said do one in your area. Stay safe, mask, do the whole thing, but do a pilgrimage in your area. So I decided that I would hike the length of the Pinellas Trail, and I ended the first day at a church in Clearwater, and then the second day I ended at a church in downtown St. Petersburg. So that's how I got that idea to do the pilgrimage in Ireland, and I know I've talked about that. It's been almost 2 years now, but many of you are well aware of me talking about that pilgrimage where I raise money and awareness in the fight against domestic violence. I got that idea hiking the Pinellas Trail, and I did a lot of my training hikes on the Pinellas Trail as well. Then, I don't know when I'm going to air this video, but I recorded it the day after the Boston Marathon. And I am officially a Boston Marathon finisher. I didn't run the race up in Boston. Once again, due to the pandemic, the 2021 Boston Marathon went virtual. And they changed the requirements a little bit, made it a little easier to register. I figured this was going to be my only chance to run the Boston Marathon, was to do it virtually with the lower requirements. So I signed up, I got there, I got ready, I gave them my qualifications, I was accepted, and then I actually ran my Boston Marathon, 26.2 miles on the Pinellas Trail. Actually, right here was part of what I ran. I started in downtown Clearwater because there was plenty of parking. I parked my car in downtown Clearwater, ran 7.5 miles north to just north of Dunedin, turned around, ran 7.5 miles south back to downtown Clearwater. Then I kept going 7.5 miles further down, and then came back and met up with my car. My car was parked about 0.2 miles away from where I started, so I just kept running until the wristwatch hit 26.2 miles. So those are two pretty big moments in my life that took place on the Pinellas Trail here. And I have one last note about Jack Russell Stadium, because I had completely forgotten about this fact, and then somebody mentioned it just out of the blue on the internet. So when the Clearwater Phillies, the single A affiliate of the Phillies, played there, there was an umpire who made a bad call, and the organist played Three Blind Mice on the organ, and is one of the only noted times where an organist has been ejected from a professional baseball game for playing Three Blind Mice. So a little bit of history there as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I know sometimes I'm trying to fit in some videos that are different. As a matter of fact, speaking of my hike on the Pinellas Trail, that very first one, I scrounged up some of the video from that hike, and I'm thinking of putting it together, and even though it is 4 years later, putting that up on the site for you to enjoy. It's sort of remember how weird it was in those first days after everything shut down due to the pandemic. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to keep going to the theme parks. I'm going to keep bringing you theme park content, but I'm going to try to do a little more outside of the theme parks as well, so I hope you enjoy it. I'll talk to you soon.